it! Hey guys, this is Kirob speaking, and today we are back in automation for the fastest car in the world challenge. Today's episode is the 1960s car. We have to beat, in the footsteps of Duesenberg, the Ferrari 365 GTB/4 Daytona. And that one reached a top speed of 280 kilometers an hour, which of course is not so much a problem for our car that we already have. But the question remains, how much faster than our first effort can we actually go? And in today's episode, we're going to find out. Before we kick it off, I need to talk about a little bit of a note there. In the main menu you saw that there was a patch release. That's a very important patch. A patch that made me replay these last few months as accurately as to what I did before. But there was a bug fix, an important one, and that is that you don't pay idle stuff on contract factories, because that was a bug. The only slightly worrying thing about what you see here is that this is just feeding on pre-orders from the years prior. What this doesn't consider is that we are soon going to fall off the cliff of no one wants our cars. We are going to try and change that, because this very cryptic and buggy message is trying to tell us that Florina has opened its borders to us, and Floridians are very much known for liking fast and sporty cars. Also, we should talk a little bit of strategy right now, because I'm going to employ a little trick that is within the rule set, but still a little tricky. And that is that not every model, every new model that you create, does have to have your fastest car in the world. The rules only state that at January of the new decade, your fastest car that has been sold to date is going to be scored. That can equally well be a facelift of an older car. My plan here is that with the borders to Florina opening and Ahana becoming more of a force in the market, what we're going to do is create a mundane car that sells really well. And that is going to be our 1960s car, while we take our 1950s car and really beef it up with the latest engine technology and some proper car tech as well, like new tires. Yeah, less rolling resistance. First things first though, we need to copy our marketing to Florina, because that is where we are trying to sell stuff now. I think I'm going to keep it slightly sporty, but for Florina, oh yeah, we already have a little bit of 3.7% of awareness, that's fine, but we do want to increase it reasonably rapidly, so I think 100,000 per month in there, like 1.2 million per year, is adequate to try and punch into the market. What we need now is to get to the Floridian market. Otherwise we can't sell there, and that is by making a facelift. And the only thing that I've done here is a real quick retune of some basic parameters, like suspension tuning, some tire width there, stuff that doesn't affect the engineering time. So this should be extremely fast to sign off. Now I didn't change the record breaker car whatsoever. And with just a little bit of finessing, we can get it down to 1 month of engineering time for this. Also, what we are going to do is take away the production of the GT50, because that one is just producing losses anyway. And this forecast is already looking quite juicy. Look at this, 35 million within 5 years, it's stating, and that is including Florina, but of course it doesn't include the potential increase in awareness in Florina. Oh yes, let's take a quick look at what kind of fancy tech we could implement into our continued development of the record-breaking engine. I do see the bottom end forged stuff here, that will help us a lot. Unfortunately, of course, we can't use the engine architecture aluminum material, that would have to be a prototype for a new engine. We do get the DCOEs as well, that is going to boost performance a little bit too. Apart from that, we can just facelift it and get it some additional quality and such. Oh, beautiful. If you're not looking for mega sports cars, it turns out there are quite a few quite nice cars in there that we could use. Like, look at this one, for instance. Yeah, it has a wagon version. It does have a van version. And it does have a coffin-carrying version. And a pickup version. I think that one will go down pretty well in Ahana. And I mean, maybe we can sell one of the coffin-carrying versions with each one of our record-breaking cars. It's going to be needed. So I'm just really quickly going to sign off that car for 0.6 million. No loan, thank you very much. And that should be it. And then we can think about our future. And of course, we are going to change its name to the RB60 Prototype 1. Just to get some continuous development into it. We do want to get a lot of quality into the various parts of it, and just see how it goes. Oh yes, so much revs. That's making quite the difference, isn't it? Let's also go with a +5 quality right there. And avgas, yeah, that's still what we're going to run. I mean, we are running a tiny engine at this moment, just 13.8 liters, and we still have a fantastic reliability score of 12.9. Goodbye 808 horsepower. Hello 910 horsepower. Oh wow. I do observe though that the bottom end and the top end take basically no time to engineer at the moment. So what I'm thinking about is to really crank the quality up of these, because the fuel system is taking that much time anyway, and I can go back here and reduce the fuel system quality and up the others, and it should be a little bit more equal and more efficient that way. So let's go up to 10 and see what happens. Well, more power happens, that's for sure. Done in 4 years. We are going to deactivate the factory, and we don't want to ever have this built. This is a pure prototype. 4.4 million, so a million, 1.1 million per year. I think that's okay. This is now signed off as well. This is starting to become a little bit of a complex setup, because what I think I'm going to do, which seems to be within budget, easily within budget, is to then choose to produce the new money-making car in our main factory in Dalluha. While I'm going to make a prototype slash like specialized car factory in Florina, a tiny factory that can specialize in producing those a little bit more extreme trims of ours. We do need to keep an eye on the awareness ratings in Florina. Also, we do need to keep an eye on the general economy, because currently it's falling off a cliff, or nah, not stabilizing again. Okay, so I'm not too worried about that one, but it's not great for luxury cars if this is below zero. Regarding car tech, I don't think there's anything specific we want to wait for. We do like to make a facelift though of our existing two cars to really actually beef them up and not just sell in Florina, to make them a little bit more competitive for the rest of the years that they will be sold. That also means it is now time to update our slightly cheaper engine that is still reasonably large. Probably the most significant thing on this one would be just to switch over to reverse flow mufflers. That's for the luxury version, 2 of them. We can finally upgrade our cars from -1 quality interior to +1 maybe even. What luxury is this? And this very nicely shows you how pathetic a market Ahana is right at the start for these luxury vehicles. You see how the change is for turning it on and off? It's 1 car per month. Oh yes, now we're talking. Prognosis, over 100 cars per month. That's almost decent. Oh really? This is damn inexpensive. That's really nice. Yeah. We can even produce this a bit more efficiently. On the engine side, there's a bit more work to do. But now the crux of the matter. We need to migrate this project into a new factory, a smaller one, because that's the only thing that we can afford. Or maybe even a small one, but nah, I'm not so sure. And wow, it's a little bit different than Dalluha. We can get away, and it's a tiny factory, we can get away with 90% worker quality. That is amazing. I did have to take away the Warthog from this one, our RB50, because they were waiting for the engine to be remade, which was 47 or something months, and that is not what we want to wait for. This is looking a lot better. But it still costs us 7.5 million. It's a little ouchies. Now, let's wait a year and see where it goes. The good news is, we're still alive and we still have some money. 17.5 million, pretty good. The bad news is that our sales have been declining steadily over this period. And that's to be expected. But we are going to get our superseller car out very soon. And it might have been a drop in sales as well because of our new car that just has been pre-ordered. I do like how quickly we were gaining a foothold in Florenia though. That does bode well for our future sales. And look at what is unlocked. Exactly what we are shooting for. Probably going to take the 2.5 meter version because it's such a nice in-between. We're getting up to some serious familiarity ratings here. 43% already for direct acting. And for the first time, going for aluminium heads, I believe. That will be good. Wow, okay, this is quite tough. I mean, look at our ratings here. This is a pretty much optimized car, and the desirability is just not quite there. It's doing well in terms of sales, if you look at this. Like 724 right there, at that price. Unattainable. If we just switch off every region apart from Florenia, we get this look instead. So it seems to be a commuter premium car, really. This is not looking good, is it? It's like, yeah, our family is very proper. 123 cars at a reasonable price, but the utility? I can't get it to work. So I'm going for the light delivery instead. And that seems to be working a lot better. Look at how large the light sports market is and what budget they have. 14k? That is reasonable. And with a 1.7 liter, slightly more sporty version of this engine, I think it could do pretty well. I'm really happy with this one. Like, look at that. Everything is green in the market where it matters. And that is only in Florenia. Basically light sport. But yeah, that is superb. Basically no overlap between these trims. Let's go with it. And this isn't looking too bad at all. 50 months of engineering time. I do need to save lots of money though. It is rather unfortunate that we are not sitting on, say, 50 million bucks, because that would allow us to use a proper engine factory. And for cheaper cars like this, it really matters if you're paying 3 times as much for the engine or just 1 times as much for the engine. Ooh, we are really in need of saving up for this project. This is going to be expensive regardless of our contract factories or not. Producing the entire car is cheaper than just getting an engine. Oh wow. Okay. Well, that is looking pretty solid. We can run basically 2 shifts straight, and that is before the awareness increases. But it is also before there's competition that kicks my ass. Whew, okay, this is looking pretty tight. We are in a position with this project to take out a loan. It is pretty cheap, and we are not going to be hit by a massive interest rate. And yeah, it's pretty stable around there. We could even take out a little bit more if we wanted to, just to buffer some of our engineering projects that are up and coming. And we could also just increase the runtime of it to 10 years. I think that might be good, because then, by then, this one will have paid off in droves. So, at least that's the hope. Otherwise, we are kind of screwed. That's looking good. Let's sign it off. It feels like we've done so incredibly much already in this episode, but there's a lot more to come. Yes, the Warthog is engineering. The Dart 4 is engineering as part of the new Topaz cheapo car, and our Beryl is now out of engineering and ready for another long-term facelift. Although I think I don't want to facelift it right away, because at some point we also need to make money with it. And I just wanted to press this button, sell remaining stock for scrap, when I saw the wonder occur. We actually have sold 14 of these historically, and we have a stock that lasts another 2 months with 2 cars in stock. The Beryl has started producing a steady cash flow, and we are decreasing in stock still, so increasing in pre-orders. That is looking really damn good, I have to say. How do you know you are being successful? I think the answer is you have to pay a lot of taxes. Well, in this case we are in Dalluha, which has one of the big advantages of you not having to pay much taxes. It's just 105k over the next 12 months. And that is good news. We have the first prototype of our new record-breaking engine just finished. So what I'm going to do now, I believe, is to queue another facelift for the Beryl, which is going to be our record-breaking car. RB60 Prototype 1, RB60 Prototype 2. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Look at this. I mean, DCOEs, right? DCOEs are just two-barrel carburetors. In this case, they are always coming in twins, right? So if you have 8 on there, then that is 1 2-barrel carburetor for each cylinder, and that is basically like throttle per cylinder. And then we add race intakes because we now finally can rev high enough for that to actually matter. 1142, but I think with this many changes, this is not a 1-year project. No, definitely isn't. And the sliders are already very, very low. And we can get it down to a year. Not too bad. I mean, we haven't switched the fuel system, but we did switch the headers and stuff, so... we got a bit of an issue here. That is a good issue to have. Look at this. We already at this point have 3 months worth of production of pre-orders for the Topaz. That is going to bring us some money. And that is what I've been waiting for. Radial tires finally available. And that is a stat comparison that I like to see. This is just the sports version, but look at that. Just everywhere. Improvements. Pretty big ones. Ooh, yes, we do have the forged components now. The question is, do we actually need them? We're now at 1,175 horsepower. And I do wonder how long this engineering project will take with the DCOEs. I've put it back to quality 0 here for this one. We have put in a lot of engineering into this project already, so maybe it isn't too bad, but let's better check. That is too much, and it is not because of the DCOEs. Fortunately, it is just because of the forged components. Oh yes, it isn't too bad if you go for cast components. We still have pretty much the same power output. No, we don't. We are now at 1,222. Nah, what... can stomach 15 more production units, can't we? And there we have it. 1,251 horsepower. Yes. Did I mention last time that $17,000 for an engine was a little steep? We have some issues now. That is $52,000 for one engine. Oh, is that so? The graph is already showing 431 kilometers an hour. It is time to take it to Dalluha, to a specific place in Dalluha. Let's see what happens. Whoa! That was the old record. And that's the limiter. 444 so far. I just need to sanity check this madness. We can make it in 52 months. And at a reasonably moderate price. It is the aerodynamics quality 15 that is taking most of the time and fitting that massive engine into the engine bay. Alright, a few more modifications later. Let's see what we can do. Oh, this is looking good. That's looking very good. Come on! Push, push, push harder! 57, 58, 59! Yes! Now we just briefly need to set up the factory. It should be good as is, plus a little bit of tooling quality. Oh! Oh, this one supposedly is selling at 0 markup, and it has a normalized desirability of 90%. Oh, that's crazy. And as you can see, I've built in half a year worth of margin, just to be on the safe side. Let's sign this off. It's just 11 million, 52 months. Sounds good. And there we have it, the release of the Topaz with 10 months worth of backlog. And this is not getting better. This went up in the first month of production. And that is massive profit. And that means that I should up the production of this by just increasing the factory size or building another factory for it, because that is what I call success. Oike Rob, what are you doing there? Well, I'm now making a facelift for the Topaz because that thing is going to make us tons of cash. And the plan here is to facelift it in the existing factory so that the factory can produce until right at the end, until retooling for the new facelift, but also add a factory. And that factory can build during the facelifting time. And in the process, I'm also going to finally add a genuine engine factory. And that will drop down prices significantly and allow us to get a lot more margin out of this. The Topaz, it is almost everywhere. I like the look of it. And this re-engineering of the Dart 4 and the Topaz is just taking 16 months at current settings. Even if I beef it up to 18 months, still going to be good. Yeah, so this hurts a bit, but I think it will be worth it. Especially if we can take out a slightly larger loan to cover some of the costs. But the projection should be, and the recent 12 months of making profits, should be so in our favor towards the investors and the banks that we should be able to get a decent loan and decent credit rating for what we want to do. Well, credit score B, but the amount that we can loan will be slightly larger than our current capital. Our main factory remains mostly unchanged, so it's just 1 month of refresh time, which means it can produce right until the end. For the main factories, I'm making a new small 2 in Farenia for this one specifically, and just hook both my main factory and the new Farenian main factory up to the same thing. And that is what I like to see in a project. Green everywhere! Ooh, that is tasty. 86 million in total. Well, I think if we take out a 50% loan over 10 years, while making plus 1.4 million, I think we should be pretty safe and it should pay off. We do want this project. So all or nothing, here it goes. Agree. That could have turned out a lot worse. The project is done, and we still have 35 million in the bank. This thing was making so much money. I was even upping the price again. And now we are 6 months in deficit on production again. Our company valuation is really skyrocketing at this moment. That means we definitely do want to start investing heavily into stuff that will benefit our score, our speed score. So I decided to add some engine architecture and quite a bit of aspiration, because while we are unlikely to be able to get turbos unlocked until the 1970s, still having quality in there will help us a lot to get some really good turbos going from the start. I'm doing the very same to the marketing budget, because we really need to push it to get the awareness up, gets us more buyers, that allows us to run higher margins, that creates more profit, and that creates more opportunity to create speed score. And with us getting so close to the 1960s, you know what we need to think about? The 1970s! What I do want to check out is how this engine would fare. Well, maybe not with that stroke, but dual overhead cam 4-valve, and with an aluminium head. And with a good chunk of quality in the engine block, because, oh, well, in the engine family, because that really gives you power. That does look like a worthy successor. That's the old engine down there, and that's the new one. So if we can somehow pull this off, and there's a lot more in this one, because all these qualities here are basically none. That thing could haul, yes. Ouch. 211 months. What does that get down to? Reasonable amount of time. Very reasonable amount of time. It's good that we're starting early though. Okay, this is looking really promising. With plus 10 quality here, which doesn't cost a fortune, we can even up the rev limiter a little bit more and... Oh! That's the second resonance of the race header and intake. This is looking good. 80 months? That's doable. Just looking at this, holy, this strategy is really paying off. Like literally. The Topaz is killing it. There is something happening here. We do have a pre-order at the existing price for our record breaker. That is fantastic. That means that we just need to produce one and we have it in the bag. Oh wow! Okay, we have 25 pre-orders of our super speedy trim. So what I'm going to do, because this one would be the one to produce last, because it has the lowest markup, what I'm going to do is pause the production of the other trims. Ooh, and we built a few too many. A few too many. We now have 31 in stock. Well, but we also have delivered 27. Alright, that counts. That's more than one last time I checked. January 1960. We are going to our car museum to check what happened to the new record-breaking car. Dutmare Velocity Inc. proudly presents our new tachometer, which is very accurate. It looks fun. Oh, okay, no, it went to normal things. So yeah, here we go. Go faster! Faster! 459 it is. Now let's calculate our speed score. Again, the calculation is really simple. It is 459 minus the benchmark score, which is, benchmark speed, which is 280 kilometers. And that is 174 miles per hour. I think we are slightly beyond that. By exactly 179 kilometers an hour. This is proper Duesenberg. So yeah, that's 79 points for me. Yay. But before I let you go, please check out the links in the description below, because that is all the play-along Let's Plays that other players have been making of this series. So, I hope you enjoy that, and there's some great stuff in there, I promise you. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time.